My name is Steve Caughey. I'm a professor of practice at Newcastle University, and I'm the director of the National Innovation Centre for Data. And I'm going to talk to you today about better analytics today, AI tomorrow. So most of what I'm going to say is about the National Innovation Centre for Data, which is a fantastic new facility for the North. But I'm also going to draw out some of the lessons that we've learned from our experiences of working with lots of public and private sector organizations over the last couple of years. So let me just put this into display mode. Apologies. So the National Innovation Centre for Data is here to help organizations get the skills that they're going to need to get insight from their data. And we do this in a very practical way by working with organizations on real world projects, using their own people, their own platforms, and their own data. So before I go into what we actually do, why are we here? Why do we need a National Innovation Centre for Data? Well, you'll be seeing graphs like this probably constantly over the next couple of days, but a lot of organizations are drowning in data. Their executives tell me that. The amount of data that's now coming into the organization from social media and from software systems and sensors is just flooding into the organization. And it's no longer sufficient to just take that data, drop it into a tool like a spreadsheet and visually look at the charts and the tables that are produced. The volume, the variety, and the velocity of all of that data mean that you need a combination of mathematical and statistical skills to let you sample data effectively, combined with scalable computing skills to let you crunch through enough of it to make sense of it. And the people who can do that, the data scientists, are in very short supply. The few that we produce are gobbled up very quickly by the financial houses and by the global vendors. And so many organizations, even large organizations, cannot get the people with the right skills that will provide the insight from data. And that's immensely frustrating for the management teams in those organizations, who are very aware of the fact that there's a huge amount of information in all of that data, insight into how their operating processes are running, insight into their clients and their customers that would enable them to create new products and services and also reduce costs. So immensely frustrating. So what can organizations do? If they can't buy people in, can they outsource? Well, that's problematic, because if you outsource control of your data, you're in hock to someone for a long time as you continue to look for insight. But more importantly, so much digital innovation today is on digital rather, and is supported by an understanding of the data that the organization has. So if you outsource control of your data, you're outsourcing control of your innovation. And that's probably a mistake, because the innovators who will help you solve your problems are probably people inside the organization who understand the problem domain and the data sets. So if you can't buy the people in and you can't outsource, what does that leave? Well, it leaves you with upskilling your own people in situ. And that's what the National Innovation Centre for Data is here to do. So why was the National Innovation Centre for Data awarded to Newcastle University? Well, we're good at data, is the simple answer. And universities typically do three things. They do research, they do teaching, and they do some form of engagement. Russell Group universities usually concentrate here, then your universities perhaps here, and usually this is a poor third cousin of everybody. At Newcastle, we're good at all three of those areas. We are world leading according to the Research Excellence Framework, the government's measure of how good you are at these research, and that the last one was 2014. We're full members of the Turing, 100 million in research funding raised. We're good at teaching. We have a gold award in the last Teaching Excellence Framework in 2017. We have a Centre for Doctoral Training in Cloud Computing for Big Data, with about 50 PhD students at any one time working in this space, and some other CDTs as well. Great new masters producing 60 students a year, and undergraduates with a strong focus on data science as well. On the engagement side, we're particularly proud of the fact that we've worked very hard to engage with the public and private sector, to the extent that we are ranked as #1 in the UK for the research impact in computing science, beating Cambridge into second place, as I always like to say. So we're good at all three of those areas. And in addition, at Newcastle, we're particularly proud of the fact that we have built a core team that supports all three of those areas and connects them together. And what that team does is it encourages research, which feeds into great teaching. And it's the great teaching which produces the people who go out into the public and private sector and create an impact. And if we're doing this right, then engagement with those organizations means that they will tell us what they need next from research and what new skills they will need next. And we can drive this innovation cycle around. And this is particularly important in the digital and data space because things change so quickly that unless you build this feedback loop into what you're doing, your research and your teaching gets stale very quickly. And so we have a somewhat unique, we feel, approach to how we do this across those three areas at Newcastle University for data. So the Innovation Centre itself is a £30 million investment in data. 15 has come from central government, matched by 15 million from Newcastle University, and 20 of that is going into a beautiful new building that I'll show you in a minute, along with 30 million from the National Innovation Centre for Aging, who share the building with us. And they're mostly focused on products and services, mostly in the digital space for the aging population. So there's a lot of synergy between what we do. We're trying to build a unique facility that will bring together the public sector, the private sector, academics, students, citizens, in order to learn more about the importance of data and what you can do about it. We do three data-related programs using a unique set of assets that we have. We run an insights program, which is aimed at management teams, sector specialists, technical specialists, inspiring school kids, exciting citizens, and that's all run from this fantastic new building on our site at Newcastle. And of course, at the moment, most of those events are being run through Zoom. The second thing that we do is that we run a connections program that helps signpost organizations to people who can help them with their data. Those might be vendors, it might be consultants, it might be training, but probably most importantly, it connects organizations into students who are looking for internships, projects, and eventually employment. And although right now we're focused on the Northeast, we intend to be a clearinghouse for students with those skills across the UK. And in fact, we're finding that in the Northeast, getting students in at that level to do internships and projects will often result in them getting employment and therefore prevent the data brain drain to the South and to the US. The third thing that we do, and the primary thing that we do, is we run data skills projects intended to transfer skills into organizations. And I'll explain that in a minute. And to do this, we use a dedicated team of PhD level experts. That's rather unique in universities. Usually, people who are employees of universities are focused on research and teaching and then do some engagement. Our team only engage with organizations. They're not measured on research or teaching. So it means they can be really dedicated to providing results for the organizations we work with. And at the end of all of this process, the hope is that clients who work with us have a return on investment by helping solve a real problem. They might have some intellectual property. We make no claim upon any intellectual property developed. But above all, they have a new set of skills that means they can solve problems for themselves going forward. This is our beautiful new building that we unfortunately can't really get into at the moment. This is the prize we could have won. Fantastic public spaces, including a wonderful TED-style theater, seminar rooms, workshop spaces, very nice social spaces and commercial offices. Like I say, we moved in December or so, and we were back out again by March. So it's sitting there unused at the moment. Breaks my heart. The building, which is this sort of triangular shaped one right in the middle of the site here, is on the Helix site in Newcastle. And this is right in the city centre. St. James's Park is just here. There's the central station. The city centre is over here. And this site is being jointly developed by Newcastle City Council, Newcastle University, and Legal and General. And what they're building between them is a mini smart city in the middle of Newcastle. So it's 24 acres, £350 million investment thus far. And from a data perspective, the academic and commercial buildings on the site are packed full of sensors. The spaces between the buildings are packed full of sensors. So we're measuring water flow over the site, electricity, people's movements, the usage of buildings. And a subset of the 400 plus residential properties on the site will also be heavily sensored up to help us do research into things like assisted living. So all of this data from this mini smart city flows to the researchers who work out of this building here, But it can also flow to the commercial properties who are attracting onto the site to experiment with smart city products and services. And then the hope is that if those products and services look interesting, with the support of the university and the city council, they can roll it out into the broader city and the city region. So a very exciting development, and we often think one of the best kept secrets in the UK, although I don't know why. The team are primarily PhD level experts. We have some masters as well. Experts in maths, in stats, in machine learning, in data engineering, in data visualization, and so on. And the team come in and out of projects depending on when those skills are needed. And the projects that we do have to be real-world projects. So when a client approaches us, they have to have a real problem that has management attention, that has a measurable return on investment, and then we ask the organization to apply their own team to work on the project. Our team of experts sit behind and beside them. We steer them and guide them, give them hands-on tutorials and seminars, show them new approaches, new tools, new techniques, either to individuals in the organization or to broader groups. We will dive in and get our hands dirty to help, but that's to demonstrate how we would approach the problem. So at the end of a 3 to 6 month project, you get these people at a heavily subsidized rate, thanks to the government. You end up with hopefully a solution to your problem, but much more importantly, the project team have picked up new skills that means they can go on and solve problems for themselves. And here are the sorts of people that we work with. The first 2 rows are our typical sort of clients that we work with. They tend to be the larger public sector and private sector organizations because they have the capacity to take these new skills on board. But we do work with SMEs. We have a program to support SMEs. If there are SMEs that have particularly exciting projects, we also participate and join in with those. The businesses listed on the sort of 3rd and 4th rows here are people who are often our partners. So these are the people who are very interested in engaging with us because we're helping to stimulate the market and excite these organizations around the importance of data. And then the other organizations are partners who come in to engage with us and assist. One quick example, a company called LKQ, who are the world's largest distributor of car parts from the manufacturers down to the garages. They're a Fortune 500 business, although you'll never have heard of them. They worked with us on a project for 6 months a couple of years ago. Very exciting project, as reported here by the head of data analytics, but probably more quantitatively, a significant return on investment. We can't quite say how much, but it was a significant return. They were shortlisted for Computing Magazine's 2018 Big Data Award. Didn't win it, but came close. And they became that organization's European data analytics team. And they supervised rolling out the same process in 22 countries. So this is an example of what we're trying to do. We're trying to help organizations bootstrap data analytics capability by solving real-world problems. So in summary, what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a beacon for data innovation, a temple to data. A place with world-class facilities and services under one roof. Fat lot of good that does us right now. We're all about delivering these next generation skills into the organization. And if we can do that, then the people who pick those skills up, they can be the ones who then go in the public and private sector and deliver innovation. So that's a quick spin through what we do. Now just one slide on the lessons that we've learned. So one thing is, especially for data professionals, it'll be great to hear, is that demand for help with data is immense. We've barely talked to a company over the last couple of years that hasn't asked for help. We've engaged with 400 businesses. We have 75 sort of actively engaging with. Almost every business from the smallest to the largest needs help with data and is struggling. Management is often bought into the fact that they need to do something, but they're often confused as to what their first step should be. There are lots of unknown unknowns, is the way people often put it. They don't know where to invest. They don't know. They're frightened of jumping into bed with a vendor or a consultant because they'll get locked in and be sold stuff. They don't know which skills they need, and they don't know what problems to address. So management themselves often need a lot of help. Very few organizations are AI ready. So I know this is an AI conference and maybe this is a negative story here, but lots of organizations tell me how excited they are about AI. But when I actually go to engage with them, it turns out they've still got lots of paper processes. There's a lot of data engineering to be done, and they're a long way off. I went to an NHS trust a while ago to talk about using AI for patient bedside monitoring. great conversation, very exciting. And then when I left the room, I was nearly knocked over in the corridor by somebody pushing a trolley that was 2 meters long, 1 meter high, and 1 meter wide of paper from one department to another. So there's a lot of work to be done in many organizations before they're in a state to actually exploit AI. Most are struggling to hire. Getting people in is really very difficult. So our lessons that we pass on to organizations is you should start small. Find a real world problem. So low-hanging fruit and experiment. Begin to explore it. That will teach you what you need in order to progress, what skills you need, what tooling you need. And we can help. National Innovation Center for Data is set up to help with those sorts of pilot inspirational projects. And incremental improvements are what most organizations need. Many organizations that we deal with are dealing with spreadsheets. And when they finish, at the very least, we can give them a better spreadsheet. That actually can make a significant difference. But also it excites people and shows them that returns can be made by investing in this space. And so then they begin to explore other technologies and take steps forward. So better analytics today for those organizations. And if we can achieve that, then maybe sometime in the future, we've got an opportunity for AI. Okay, thank you very much.